Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 29 for September 9th, 2020. I am Nemesis and I'm joined by Alcatraz.
Hello.
Some stuff happened in the world, and I guess the Shenmue anime was announced to be done by Crunchyroll and Adult Swim, because I guess apparently people really can't let go of Shenmue, even after the kind of bad third game apparently, but whatever.
Whatever. To each their own.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a thing if you want it. But yeah, we're not here to talk about that. We're here about something actually quite old. Very
Quite
old. And also very influential. We're talking about Mobile Suit Gundam. And last time I said sort of. And the reason is we watched the more or less the abridged movie versions that they released in the early 80s.
Yeah, apparently they're like compilations of the original series.
Of sort, yeah.
Sort
That's
of like
basically truncated, changed, cut some stuff out, some of the filler and whatnot out, and adjust some things. So like, there's some of the later bits of this show was apparently notable for a really bad animation. And there's apparently a story where the animation director was in the hospital and seeing this show he was directing on TV and horrified as he watched the animation get worse and worse and worse.
Oh no.
And you couldn't do anything about it because he's in the hospital. Yeah, the series ran from 1979 to 1980 and was 43 episodes. This is 3 2-ish hour long movies.
It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes each.
About. It's very influential in many ways. It's like a big deal in mecha anime. Yeah, and don't think it's technically the first, but it's one of the biggest and most well known, as you're probably well aware. I mean, they have a actual built life-size Gundam thing, and now they have one that can actually move.
Yeah. like what I've heard is it's like the start of the real mecha stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot of mecha is like super unrealistic. It's like, okay, yeah. But this one, they really tried to keep things as, quote, realistic as possible.
Yeah, realistic as you can keep mecha, because the whole idea in of itself is kind of absurd.
I mean, they do have to make one really big, non-realistic thing to make everything work.
Oh, yeah.
The whole Minovsky particle.
Yep.
Apparently everything's based around... They didn't talk about it a huge amount in the actual movies. Maybe more in the series and a whole bunch more in other media. But... yeah, all the text based around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's basically about a war between the Federation of Earth and the Zeon, I guess, from space colonies. And there's a
duchy, was it?
Yeah, the Duchy of Zeon. And what their whole thing is, Duchy of Zeon's like, yeah, they're like, we don't want to be, bossed around by you, so we're going to be independent. And then that's how the war starts.
Yep.
And this takes place, I guess, later in the war, after a lot of devastation. According to the narration, half the population each side is dead.
It's a lot of people.
And it follows, the crew of the White Base, who's pretty much more or less a ragtag team because, it's a lot of civilians and younger people, including the main character, Amuro Ray, who winds up piloting the Gundam, the Mobile Suit Gundam, out of, I guess, desperation. When they're evacuating the colony he's on, Side 7? Yeah.
Side 7, yep. Apparently, yeah, we haven't explained the sides yet.
It's just because I'm doing the plot stuff right now.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. So he gets in the Gundam and defeats a couple of the enemy mobile suits and whatnot, and then he winds up on the white base, and he kind of more or less conscripted into this war, and it's basically them this white base going around, surviving, fighting, impressing everyone, and kind of dealing blow after blow to the Zeons, and then they make this big final battle and whatnot, and the war's over, and that's kind of the. Oh, there's a whole thing about new types later on too, but yeah, we'll get into the specifics a little bit throughout the thing. Yeah, overall, I enjoy it to a degree. However, in many ways, it does show its age.
It does.
There's a lot about it. Namely, I think some of this is probably the fault of just it being the compilation movie thing, but the pacing sometimes is all over the place.
Yes.
Sometimes it goes really slow, and other times it's like, let's go, okay, we're done.
some weird time skip kind of. It feels like a time skip, but you're not entirely certain.
Yeah.
And that's probably because it's a compilation-ish thing.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of the problems right there are definitely a side effect of a big compilation. Like there's like romances that come out of just nowhere, and then they're just
oh yeah,
stuff like that.
With the all like Slegger.
Yep.
Yeah.
In Mirai.
Yeah.
That just came out of nowhere. I was like, what where would that come from? And then it was just over too, because of course this is war. Other things, definitely lots of blatant misogyny. Yeah. If your woman is being uppity, slap her around a couple times. That will put her in her place.
Oh, that whole section was like, no.
That happens several times.
No.
But yeah, there's also kind of sometimes a bit of dryness to it. So sometimes it's really easy to start to stop paying attention because it's kind of getting dry and drawn out. And then you go realize something important's happening. You better start paying attention again.
Yeah, it's like, this is really dry. So you look away and then something, wait, I just missed something. Crap.
Back up 30 seconds. Watch it again.
Yeah.
It's really hard to start. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, so it's interesting and largely, I think, enjoyable, but definitely I think there's a number of Gundam fans will say, just don't bother with the original. Just read the wiki thing or whatever, and then watch some of the newer stuff. And I can understand why now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also very influential. I mean, just watching it, you can just see some of the stuff it influences in many ways. Like one thing I just noticed, Virtual On, for example, had the whole launch the mecha with the little catapult in a very specific way. That's that's an influence. Stuff like that. Just other mecha show you watch, you can see kind of just occasional like the bits of influence here, and that the Gundam stuff had this how it treats mecha.
Yeah, there was also one thing that I saw. It was near the beginning of the first one, when shortly after Amuro does his first bit in the Gundam and starts getting angsty. It's like, oh, this is where NGE came from.
Mm-hmm. NGE just took it farther.
Yeah, but it's like, get in the gosh darn Gundam, Amuro.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and of course, even having the teenagers fight a war for you type thing.
Yep, basically.
And as of course, as we all know from the meme, war is bad.
War is bad.
Or, if you're a simpleton, wow, cool robot.
Although at sometimes I was getting some. The message is pretty obvious.
War is bad.
It doesn't beat around the bush with what it's referencing. Like, the entire Principality of Zeon is blatantly
space Nazis.
Near the end, they're space. Yes, they are space Nazis. And if you couldn't figure that out in the first,
they really hammered it in this
movies.
Final bit.
Right in the final movie, they literally goes, you're acting kind of like Hitler.
Do you know who Hitler was? No.
It's just like, in case you couldn't figure it out from their mannerisms and their uniforms.
Yeah, the uniforms are blatantly Germanic in style.
Yeah, I know where they got that inspiration from. But in case you couldn't get it, they're just going to lay it out
and
for you.
And yeah, the soldier
right
helmets
there.
as well. The helmets are very blatantly World War II German style. and also there's the whole, what was it? At the end of the first movie, just Sig Zeon or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
Because actually, I would actually say through a large chunk of the first movies, kind of leave it a little ambiguous who the real bad guys are, and then they kind of make it more and more obvious that Zeon are kind of the bad guys until get to that point of like, yeah, they're talking about racial purity and they're the bad guys.
They're really the bad guys.
Although I would argue the Federation are actually not so much the good guys as the less bad guys. In many ways.
That's one of the things. Like I said, I was sometimes getting a little bit of mixed messages coming from here. It's like, it's obvious who the bad guy, the real big bad guys are. That's the Zeons. But
the Federation aren't much better in many aspects.
Yeah, and that's also the whole thing. It's like, I'm not entirely certain if you're saying that the Federation also aren't great, or you're trying to pass off them as necessary.
I think it's. I think the idea is just simply war is bad.
Yeah,
even the good guys in war aren't really very good. Yeah, and I think that's the idea, because we see they're willingly employing child soldiers without really considering the moral ramifications or anything. It's just like,
yeah, that was in the first in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
That comes ahead when they first kind of get all the kids working. There's kids, and I can't remember who exactly said it. It was like, there's precedence for like 14, 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
Actually said, like, yeah, there's precedence for that.
Technically.
So it's like, on one hand, that's horrible, though on the other, like I said, they are absolutely desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a third one that is also really horrible, that it was also apparently done on purpose as part of the whole new types thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they I guess not really planned, but somewhat planned for this to be the case anyway, as sort of a test for the finding and using new types.
Yeah, the new type thing, because that was kind of introduced and slowly fleshed out of the series. This idea that's kind of the next evolution of humanity, or something like that. And,
yeah, which apparently the Zeons were really heavily into this, or at least part of them were, and it's supposed to be sort of a reference to the whole Ubermensch.
Yep, and like,
again with the whole Nazi thing. But again, it was really muddy in this particular implementation of things, especially when you throw Char into the mix.
Yeah, Char.
Yeah, because he had a different goal than the rest of the Zeons.
Yeah. His whole thing there was different, but yeah, the whole new type thing is basically that whole thing, and like they get like, I guess, a little quicker reflexes, and like kind of they can sense things that other people can't, and even apparently communicate psychically, I guess.
Yeah, apparently they're just
that's
psychic.
a thing by the end.
Yeah, that's a thing.
It gets a little out there after a while, honestly.
I feel as though the later ones, really when they start building up the new type abilities, especially when you start looking at some of the other stuff that they did, they were I want to say they were somewhat influenced by Star Wars,
maybe,
which came out a few years earlier.
Yeah,
because it feels like the new types with the whole mental sensing thing and the communication really feels like a reference to the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the big solar cannon things, especially the solar ray version, really just looks like a Death Star weapon.
Yeah. I mean,
so it feels like there's a bit of Star Wars influence there, which would make sense. I mean, this came out just a few years after the Star Wars. It wasn't even A New Hope. It was just Star Wars. Had come out.
It makes sense. Another thing, they were definitely the Gundam stuff was actually, or the mobile suits were actually influenced by Starship Troopers, the old the book.
Yeah, well, which was it the book? Because it was something else. Wasn't it like the Forever War or something?
No, they were inspired by the powered armor stuff in there. So that's okay. That's mobile suits now.
I gotta look. That's gonna bug me now.
But that was the idea. Yeah. So the big thing, Amuro is supposed to be one of the new types and whatnot. It's kind of make it increasingly obvious that like, he's just a natural. At first, it's just he's just really good at it. No, he's because he's a new type. He just acclimated to this Gundam thing. Yeah, Gundams aren't all Gundams like I used to think they were. No, they're all mobile suits, and Gundam is a type of mobile suit. Particularly this one is a special one.
I found some interesting things when I was looking through the wiki a couple days ago. Reading up. Apparently, the title Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
That was done much later.
Yeah.
It was in development. It was originally supposed to be a whole bunch of things about freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom this, freedom that, freedom this.
That explains the color scheme.
But, well, yeah. Well, and that's what it was about, but the things started to change later on, and one of the first title change was decided that since it's, it's a big gun, basically, they were going to make a portmanteau of gun and freedom. So we had Gundam.
Oh.
But then they changed it. Well, it should be Gundam because it's a gun that's holding back the forces of evil, like a dam. So then we get Gundam.
So Gundam, but now it's a Gundam.
Except it's spelled Gundam.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, there's a lot of Western influence on that.
Yeah. Some of the other characters, of course, the main antagonist is Char.
Yes.
Yeah, Char Aznable. Yeah. A lot of these things, the thing is, a lot of these names are very clearly kind of attempts to make Western sounding names.
Yeah.
But they don't quite succeed because I've seen this, like there's a thing from like a baseball game that was made in Japan, and they like put in a bunch of Western sounding names that are like nonsensical because it's like they sound Western to the Japanese audience, and that's good enough. They sound foreign, and so that's good enough. It's like a lot of people will do that with Japanese and Chinese names here in the U.S. and whatnot. And
unfortunately, when they do that, it's almost entirely racist remarks.
Yeah, but so you got so Char. Yeah, what was it? Bright Noah.
Yes, Bright.
Fraubo.
Yeah, that's one of the weird ones.
I was like, Frau. What? Is she German? No.
Yeah, that's what I kept, especially with all the references to Nazis, and now we're using Frau. It's like, was this intentionally supposed to be German?
I don't know.
Except Frau doesn't have any sort of connection to the Zeons.
Yeah.
Unlike someone else.
Yeah, Selah Mass. Which so Char there. Char is the big antagonist. He's like big thing. He's the Red Comet. He's this big deal. He's I guess a sort of a Red Baron of sorts. Because
I'm sorry, but every time I saw Red Comet, my mind read it as Red Rocket.
Oh, just don't do that. But anyway, he has a special red, although it's more pink, bit of armor. Blood is red.
It's not quite salmon. It's more saturated than that, but yeah.
Yeah, and he's the big deal. He's like the big, he's the big guy that everyone's ever expects and fears on the Federation side and all that stuff. And he's a big war hero. And turns out he's got this. He's not really Char. He's his real name is where was that?
Where was that?
Oh, Edward Mass. Edward.
Casval Rem Daikun.
Is that?
It was Casval Daikun.
That's another one. But Edward Mass is another one.
Yep. He went through multiple, but his given name at birth.
Yep.
Was Casval Daikun.
Casval Rem Daikun.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, he turns out to actually be the brother of Selah Mass, whose real name is Artessa Som Daikun.
Yep.
Artesia.
Artesia. There's an I there.
Yeah, they got split up, and he's got this whole idea of getting revenge on the Zeon family. Yeah, this IB family.
Apparently, the whole thing, the Daikun, from what I got, the Daikun family was the one who basically started the Zeon uprising, I guess. But the other family,
or helped it anyway.
Yeah, but the other family killed their father.
Yep.
And sort of took over the direction, and that's how Char's, still working for them, but started using different names to hide the fact that he's Daikun. Because, they wanted to kill off the Daikun family. Yep. The Zeons did. And so he's using that to essentially work from the inside to get revenge while also furthering his own goals.
Yeah. Which is he wants the new types to just be left alone to be able to just be new types.
Yeah. Because the new types are being used as a tool of war.
Yeah, he doesn't like that. And he's trying to get through to, Amuro, for example. Like, you're just being used. Amuro was like, no.
Amuro is a whiny child.
Yeah, that's the thing. Amuro is sometimes a little annoying because he is a teenager. And,
yeah.
But then again, you kind of get it. It's kind of almost feels like this is the same thing that, people's like, Shinji is a whiny little butthead.
Shinji's so whiny. He's also 14.
He's also 14 and being conscripted into a war and you can see he's clearly, that's the thing is they don't shy away from him. He clearly is getting affected by the whole war thing, and not in a good way. He's disassociating. He just kind of sits there ignoring people, and he clearly like possible PTSD type stuff going on because and he hesitates when and he sees actual humans, but when they're in mobile systems, now it's fine, whatever. They can shoot those, but when it's an actual person, he hesitates, which is something at least. But yeah, it's
something.
Yeah, you can clearly see he's having a hard time, and people are just kind of telling him to man up and suck it up.
Suck it up. This is war. Get over it. It's like, dude, he's a kid.
Yeah,
that ain't right.
That's kind of the part of it. It's like it shows you without really any hesitation. Like, yeah, it's negatively affecting him. It's hurting him. It's causing him to pull away from everyone else and whatnot.
Yep.
I mean,
his family situation doesn't help either.
Yeah, his mom's.
His dad's just
all obsessed with the Gundam thing.
Yeah, he's a jerk too, and he doesn't actually give a rip about his son. He only cares about himself and his achievements, which is horrifying. His mom at least cares.
But she's on Earth.
She's on Earth, The only time you really see her in the movies shows up, and he ends up shooting an enemy in front of her, and she basically gets on his case. It's like, okay, I get you're trying to be, gentle and kind, but he was going to die if he didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
You're saying you would rather have your son get killed than defend himself here. It's not great. He doesn't exactly have the greatest familial situation.
Yeah. Also, it's clear that Frau Bo has a thing for him, but although it seems by the end of this whole, it's kind of that's not a thing anymore.
Not a thing anymore. Just kind of goes away a little bit.
Amuro, also being a teenager, sees all these, pretty women and goes, oh. Frau Bo's like, what the hell? I'm right here. And he's like, huh?
That part was kind of funny. Matilda was the first one. Lieutenant Matilda.
Yep.
What's her face?
Yep. Got across from
Asian. Yeah. And so did every other teenage boy in White Base.
Yep.
And she knew it.
Yeah, and then there's an enemy, the Crowley Hammond, who he kind of goes, oh, that one woman. Crowley Hammond.
Crowley. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of short-lived because she also dies, yeah.
She dies.
Yeah, it's the thing, is like he's got his own issue. He's got a lot of issues that are clearly being untreated because, well, yeah, it's war,
It's war.
Yeah, it's yeah, but he's supposed to be a new type. It's implied Sayla's supposed to be a new type. It's implied Mirai might also be a new type. Mirai gets conscripted to being the more or less the helmsman of the ship. Helmswoman.
Yep. Helmswoman.
Yeah. There's some weird stuff like.
Yeah, apparently she has a somewhat arranged marriage thing going on.
It's a weird thing. And then there's that Slager Law. Well, he's clearly supposed to be an American. You look at his chin, his nose, the blonde hair, his attitude. Yeah, he's supposed to be an American.
Yeah.
He's also the one who just straight up slapped Mirai, and then somehow that turns Mirai to go, "Oh, you're so handsome."
Oh my god!
Because again, blatant misogyny type stuff going on. I mean, there's one point they say decides to just take the Gundam out herself, and oh hey, look, she's immediately failing, even though she's run all the simulations. She can't seem to handle it initially.
On one point, yeah, that's not great. On another, simulations never properly. There's always a bit of a difference.
It's still kind of like,
but still, yeah. Although later they do say that she can do it, though she doesn't ever in the movie.
Later on, she's just piloting one of the
core fighters.
The fighters. The core fighters. That's what they're called.
Yes, core fighters.
Yeah, it's there's a lot going on there. She has her whole thing where she's keeping the secret that she's related to Char and trying to get him to knock it off, and he's like, no. It's like, then you forgot what you're even fighting for. Oh yeah, I did.
Oh,
because eventually, then there's a whole we see, and that's the other thing. They show the enemy, the Zeons, frequently because hey, it's not just the white base guys. It's we see Char and stuff going on there that actually sometimes humanize them, and sometimes of course, then they turn around. Hey, look, they're actually space Nazis though.
They're space Nazis.
But yeah, so in
case you forgot.
Because one of the things, in the first movie, they have the thing where the Federation soldiers, a couple Federation soldiers being kind of jerks to, just a woman who's just selling stuff at a stall. And it's like, yeah, see, and then right afterwards, they show the Zeon soldiers are also kind of harassing a refugee camp as well. So it's like, yeah, it's like right there, that's one of the things, see, no one's really good here. And then towards the end of the movie, hey, look, space Nazis.
Space Nazis.
Of course, here's the other thing apparently about Gundam, which is, you ask a Gundam fan who are the bad guys, and it says they say depends on which series you watch.
Interesting.
Because some series, no, the Zeons are the good guys. It's one of those things. See, it's complicated. And then, of course, apparently there's multiple timelines for Gundam.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So that's a whole thing. I found that out because I'd like to see a video. It's like, we explain all the timelines of Gundam. Like, what do you mean all the timelines?
What do you mean? What?
There's not just one?
Oh boy. That's like different continuities in other franchises.
Yeah. all existing simultaneously or something. Anyway, yeah. So in this one, the Zeons are clearly the bad guys, but yeah, apparently in other series, no, they're not so much the bad guys. There's other stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, the way they start the origin of the Zeons, you could have them be the good guys if that's all you used. Whole space Nazi thing kind of takes that out of the
pretty quickly
a possibility, but the whole becoming independent.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we've seen stuff like that before. Like, I want to say Firefly. That was kind of a whole thing.
Yep.
The big Central Federation government, or whatever they called it in Firefly, I can't remember. And the independent ones wanted to stay independent, and they said, "No, you're not going to." There was a big war. So it could be done. I could see it.
Yeah. The other thing about that is, you can see by this point that the people have been in space for so long, there are people who've never even seen Earth, and that kind of get it's like, why is this one place telling us how to live our lives?
Yep,
we're way out here, and they don't give a crap about us other than, and so it's like, okay, and then of course it's in the beginning of every single movie, which is we see the bit where it kind of helps start off the war, which is they dropped a colony on Earth.
Yeah.
They just dropped one on a city, and I think it's supposed to be Sydney, Australia, if I recall from other places I've read.
Could be.
So they drop a colony, and that's quite the devastating thing to do.
Yeah. It's like throwing a meteor. Those colonies, that's actually an interesting point. The sides, as they call them, they're O'Neill cylinders.
Yeah.
Which, the whole thing about O'Neill cylinders is that was actually officially published like right before this aired. The official publishing for that was in 1976.
Yeah.
For the O'Neill cylinders. The concept is a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I first saw the sides pop up, I was like, wait, I know what those are.
Yep.
Maybe because I know the concept from Arthur C. Clarke's Rama stuff, Rendezvous with Rama, in the game and stuff like that, except those weren't O'Neill cylinders because that book came out before. Like a year before. But yeah. It's like, oh, hey, O'Neill cylinders. That's really cool. They're actually using real life concepts.
But yeah, they got the whole independence thing. And then there's some neutral runs, like side 6 is neutral, and you're not supposed to fight there. And they even do the thing like the tape over your weapon ports and whatnot. So if any of those are broken, you're going to be hit with a hefty fine.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a hefty fine, though. You don't exist anymore, though. Or if we just, don't care and just don't pay and leave.
Just blow
up the side. What are you going to do? Shoot us? Says the man who was shot.
What are you going to do? Stab me?
Yeah, but the Zabi family, they're the ones in charge, more or less, of the Duchy of Zeon. And yeah, you got that whole thing, because you got Degwin Soto, who's like the main dude in charge, and you got a bunch of his children, and they're all like in the military and whatnot. And then there's a lot of backstabbing.
There is a lot of backstabbing.
So you had Garma, who dies early on, and then that sends shockwaves and all that. And then you got Cassilia, who's the only daughter, and Dozol, and Sasro, and Giran, and whatnot.
Yep.
Giran's the one who's the really super Nazi guy. But yeah, they're they kind of basic. Giran intentionally kills his own dad when Degwin is basically gonna try to hash out a peace with the Federation, and Giran's like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. Kill them all,
along with half the Federation.
Yep.
Navy, but
the main fleet.
Yep.
With his giant space laser.
And then his sister shot him in the back of the head.
Yeah, and then Shar saw her and blew her head off, as they very specifically showed us. And Shar died. It looks like Shar died in that explosion as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of this whole thing. We're just seeing all these people die and everything. And that's the thing. The big final battle right there was like, we see just everything being destroyed, and everyone's everyone's doing poorly. Everyone's doing poorly. That was the whole thing.
Everyone's doing poorly.
It's just like going
White
bad.
Base was white during the battle. White Base got completely incapacitated.
Yep, and then blown up.
All the engines taken out, and they're on ground fighting.
Yep. the mobile suits are being destroyed little by little, and everything. We're just seeing bodies floating in space and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course you got Cassilia there, just kind of like, I'm out. We can survive this if I get back to their other place, we can survive.
We have another fleet. Just get me over there. We can keep going.
Yeah, and then because the other thing is like the Federation is losing this war at this point. When the series is beginning, the Federation is losing.
Yep.
That's just kind of that's alarming.
Yep, they're losing, but the Principality, the Xeon, is not doing super great. They're winning, but
yeah. And then
at a cost.
Because the whole thing, that battle there also very much ends the war, because after that they sign an armistice, and like that's that, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with that. There's also kids on that white base.
Yes, there's 3 children who, to the Federation's benefit, they did want... Yeah, to their credit, they did want to get the children off the white base. The 3 kids.
But
the kids said no.
And they just kind of gave in and let them stay.
Yep.
And which kind of ought to be a good thing, because the kids found the bombs that would have blown up a bunch of the Gundams. Okay.
Yeah, it's implied that they're also new types, and they were able to.
Yeah, it's implied by the end that they're also new types. It's like, okay.
It also explains how they're very suddenly skillful at what they're doing.
Yeah. There's also the coward Kai shit in. The coward.
God.
Also,
when he first showed up, I hated him.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
He got better, but still, he wasn't great.
Yeah, and then there's Agrio, who sacrificed himself once, and that was the whole thing. It was like, any character can die at any point.
The death of Matilda.
It's war, man.
Yep. That was one thing, the death of Matilda.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was not.
And then Amuro kind of blamed himself for it because it wasn't good enough. And
do you really think that so highly of yourself?
Yep. And then Matilda's, because I think they were engaged.
Yeah, to that one guy.
Matilda and can't remember who that was.
Some guy.
I don't know. Some guy. He basically ends up and sacrifices himself too.
Yep. Lots of things just showing that war is heavy on the costs.
War is hell.
Yep. Just nothing good comes from war.
War never changes.
Yeah. That was also the Lala.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's also Lala.
Who
shows up.
That's one weird name.
On Side 6. Really weird name.
Two, she and Char have a thing going on, and then,
definitely have a thing going on, but Amuro kind of falls for her. And then
then she dies, and Amuro blames Char, and
Char kind of blames Amuro, and it's like,
and Lala's like, hey, you two need to stop fighting.
Yes, she does that after she's dead.
Yes. Yeah, that's another
the
thing.
whole... It's like Obi-Wan talking to Luke after he dies.
Yeah.
Again, with the whole Force thing.
Yeah, they did just some weird space fantasy stuff towards the end, that's for sure.
It's a space opera.
Yeah, it starts to feel like it's like getting a little off the rails, honestly, towards the end, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like, this is getting weird. This is not what I was expecting, because... Yeah, I understand, like, the Gundams are more or less... The Gundam thing is, like, basically a vehicle to tell a story about people. It's not really about the Gundam itself, per se, like a lot of people think it is. Again, wow, cool robot.
Wow, cool robot.
Apparently, I think it was the director of this series was, like, talking about how originally the fans of Gundam were mostly female. Like, there's, like, a fan meetup way back when he was there. Like, 90% of the audience was female.
Interesting.
And then the guys came in because, model kits and whatnot.
Yeah.
Gotta sell the merchandise now. Yeah, so a lot of people would argue that later Gundam stuff, apparently the messaging and whatnot has been a lot more diluted because buy our toys.
Buy our toys.
And so it's you can't go too hard into stuff because, well, you gotta make sure they think it's just, see the cool robot and buy the cool robot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot about. Oh, there's another thing I want to criticize. Amuro's father, Temere. Okay, so like when Amuro first uses the Gundam, he like accidentally blows a hole in the side of the colony, and like it looks like his father goes out, and it's like, oh, I guess he's dead again. Oh well.
I guess he's dead.
And then he shows up later in the third movie, I guess late in the
on
series.
side 6.
And he's on side 6, and except it's clear that he's not well.
No.
Mentally, he's kind of lost some stuff. He's like he gives.
I would say that he probably didn't have it all to begin with.
Yeah.
But he lost what he had.
Yeah. What was it? Amuro said it was like oxygen deprivation syndrome or something like that.
Something like
something
that.
along those lines. But anyway, it's pretty clear something happened to him in space, and it messed him up. But yeah, because the whole thing, he finds his dad. He sees him by chance while he's out there. He follows him, and his dad sees him like, "Here, take this. It'll help make the Gundam better." And then he's looking at it, this is a piece of junk.
Yep.
And yeah, yeah, that's a weird thing. Is like the whole story arc was like, Amuro just saying goodbye to his dad because like realizing his dad's kind of gone more or less, and even then his dad probably didn't really care about him that much in the first place.
Yeah.
But then for me, it's weird because after that you think that would be it, but no, they have his dad show up in a couple more scenes for no real good reason. It feels weird, and I think they're trying to really push the idea is how much his dad doesn't care about him, but it's like you already made that pretty clear. You don't have to go any further. You didn't really have to appear anymore after this point.
I'm trying to figure. It's like they imply that he dies.
I don't know.
That's that one scene.
It's weird because he fall down the stairs, and it's like I'm not sure if he died or not.
Yeah,
it's unclear.
Yeah, during the battle of Side 6, as soon as they leave, and there's a big battle, and it's on TV, and they're all watching it, and he's all cheering because the Gundam, and it's the part that I added, which did not get added.
Yeah, because he just threw it.
And then he goes outside and cheers and falls down the stairs, and then
he twitches, and then he's just lying there.
He's just lying there, and then his arm just kind of slowly falls flat, and then he's just lying completely flat.
Yeah, honestly, that whole bit, honestly, just felt kind of unnecessary in a way. You didn't really need to add all that stuff once Amuro left. He didn't really have any. I honestly felt like it was kind of one of those weird things like that was completely unnecessary. And then again, the whole weird quote unquote romance between Mirai and Slager was like,
completely unnecessary,
out of nowhere, and then over just as quick. I'm not sure if this is a consequence of it being a compilation or if this is how it was in the original, but it's really weird. I actually almost thought that maybe Mirai and Bright were kind of maybe developing a thing, but if anything, but no.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of got more of a like father or
maybe I don't know. It's weird.
Or a little more. I can't really say father because it's like a mixture between father and protective older brother. It's sort of like the mentor mentee relationship is what I was getting from those two.
Anyway, it's that was so out of nowhere.
Yeah, the Slager one. It was just wait, what?
Yeah, and then
since when?
There was also Kai who met the spy person.
Oh,
yeah.
What's her face? Yeah, that one is like.
Yeah. Miharu.
Yep.
Miharu. Yeah, he kind of likes her, meets her, and then turns out she's a spy, and then she's kind of like, I only do this to feed my family, and then she died.
Kind of just goes along with it. Kai just kind of.
Yeah, and it's like he knows she's a spy, and then he's still like, and then she actually decides to help. Yeah, then she decides to actually help the Federation, and then she dies, or maybe dies.
She dies.
She was shot out. She was pushed out of the side of the thing, but it's possible she was still alive at that point and over the ocean. So it's theoretically possible she lived long enough to drown. It's like, oh,
yeah. I think this is one of those redemption equals death tropes.
Yep, of course. Especially since war. It's always.
Which I don't think you can pull that one for Char.
Yeah.
Where he kills
there was no redemption there
because that was his whole goal anyway, was to kill off that family.
Yeah.
So he wasn't redeeming himself.
He just finally said doing what he intended to do.
He did help the Federation by doing that. He did basically end the war.
Yeah, but it's still just odd. There's some oddities, and I feel like some stuff just kind of goes nowhere, and like I'm not sure. Again, I'm sure if it's just a side effect of the compilation movie or what. But there's a lot of stuff that's just kind of like, oh, that's just went nowhere, and now we're gone, and now we're kind of moving on.
Yeah.
And there's the other thing, and it's like now I know where Sunrise's that little green ball and Sunrise's logo comes from. It's Haro.
Oh yeah,
the little robot thing.
Who we get no real detail about.
No, it's just a robot.
Appears. And it's just there.
Just there. Just a robot, because why not? Yeah, so, yeah, Sunrise. Yeah, what do you know?
Sunrise. Just like Love Live. In space.
Oh. Cowboy Bebop in... Wait. Yeah, it's kind of interesting from, that weird historical perspective. It's definitely interesting. You can see the influences and whatnot. From there, you can kind of admire, but yeah, it also is very much a product of its time and kind of hard to watch at times because of that. Not because it's necessarily bad, because it is very much kind of like, almost want to say it's kind of in that thing of like 2001: A Space Odyssey is really hard for people to get through sometimes, even though a lot of people praise it for being a great movie.
Right.
It's kind of that sort of thing. It's like, it's sometimes, yeah, it's a sheer age and whatnot is just kind of odd. This is all about it, just kind of like, it feels archaic. And again, there's some of the outdated stuff going on in it.
Yeah, well, it is 70s.
Yeah, it was the late 70s. Well, these movies came out in the early 80s, but still based on a series from the late 70s.
Yeah.
And also because that there's some weird animation stuff I've noticed.
Yeah.
This is like, that looked a little odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still, I think, somewhat interesting, but yeah, it's not the one. I think a lot of Gundam fans might actually be right in the sense that you probably should just go ahead and just read a wiki on this and then go to a newer series instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
There's definitely parts to it that are enjoyable, but it definitely shows its age.
Yep.
And there are some
a lot of slow parts where it's like,
yeah. But it definitely does have some good things here and there.
Yeah, there's some stuff that feels like you spent a long time on this when you really didn't need to, and then you fast forwarded through something that felt a lot more important.
And again, I guess we keep coming back to the pacing issues and the fact that it's possibly because it's the weird compilation thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyway, the only reason we watch it like this is, well, two reasons. One, getting my hands on the original series legally is expensive, and it'd be expensive for both of us because we both have to buy it at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm kind of glad I didn't spend $100 on this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it costs. Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah. Two, watching 43 episodes in 2 weeks is doable, but difficult.
Yeah.
Versus watching 3 movies? Okay.
3 movies was doable.
A lot easier. And you get, my understand is like you get the gist of it, no problem.
Yeah, there's no way I would want to spend $100 to watch the full series.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it would have fixed some of our issues. Maybe it would have fixed the pacing. I don't know. Without actually watching the whole series, I don't know if it's better or could be worse. I don't know. There could be like a bunch of filler episodes that we'd have to slog through.
Yeah, because that's what I'm hearing is it does cut out a lot of the filler.
Yeah.
But well, if you do want to check it out, it is all 3 of the movies are currently still free on YouTube legally by Gundam Info, the official YouTube channel. That's how we watched it. It's still there. So if you want to check it out, that's that. Apparently they have some of the other Gundam stuff as well, but those are there's some other stuff like Char's Counterattack. That's a sequel thing. That's way later. Later. I think that's about all we can say about it, really. Yeah. It's a big deal, but yeah, I'm not sure how much it's worth outside of its historical relevance, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I say, because it's not the first time we've run into an anime that has this sort of thing. I want to say like the original Sailor Moon the first season of it. Well, it was, although I think overall it was better quality.
Still kind of rough.
Even if you don't like it, it's important.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those things, even if it isn't, the best anime out there, which definitely isn't, it is still an important one because it does set the framework and the grounding for a lot of other things.
Yep. So, I guess that's it for this episode. A little short, but whatever. It's what happens. It's hard to really talk about a lot without getting to the nitty gritty, and then you start getting to some, kind of boring topics, honestly.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed. If you did, you could check out other episodes. You can check, they're all on newtoweeaboo.libsyn.com. It's spelled Labsyn. You can check out the RSS feed there and whatnot, if you like. We're still, at this point, releasing every 2 weeks. You can also find us on, Apple Podcasts / I guess iTunes, because the same thing, but different labels for the same thing. Google Play, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, although Google Play is ending. If you like, if you go to YouTube, search for us, New to Weeaboo, on any of those, you can find us, subscribe. You can like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, all that stuff. You can also contact us via email. We're newtoweeaboo@gmail.com if you have questions or comments or criticisms or anime recommendations, stuff that you should watch. Again, try to keep it to stuff that's somewhat easy to get a hold of. Or if it's not easy, at least have a way for us to find it, not just, oh, hey, it's out there, you can go find it. Yeah, thanks. We'll get on that eventually when I find it. And you can also find us on Twitter @NewToWeeaboo. You can see us there. So sometimes like musings, like, hey, I was like kind of watching and it's kind of interesting seeing how inspiration happened from this. Or of course our personal Twitters. I'm at Nemesis Prime 1 and he's at Alcatraz717 and an underscore at the end. So that's it.
Yep.
Tune in next time. We'll be talking about Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Because there's a lot to unpack there, that's for sure.
Oh boy.
Hope you guys do well until then. Bye.
See ya.